What are the top 5 ARs at close range that can outclass submachine guns? Welcome back, I'm Austin, and I'm here to answer that question for you. I'll even be giving a bonus 6th assault rifle, as well as giving you the best class setup for each one. Number 6 is going to be the Cold War AK-47, and what makes the AK so good up close is it has a 600 millisecond time to kill, and it's really easy to use. The recoil doesn't become an issue until extreme ranges, and the benefits of using an assault rifle over a submachine gun is that you get way better range on the top end time to kills. The AK-47 will outclass almost every single submachine gun between 10 to 25 meters, while having a comparable time to kill within those first 10. The only reason this is number 6 is due to the fact of it having a 600 fire rate, making it much less forgiving than SMGs and other ARs higher on this list. Now if we're going to go straight into the class setup, we gotta really increase the movement to make this thing competitive up close. So to begin, we go with the suppressor, which increases bullet velocity, ADS, and sprint to fire speed, which is probably one of the most important stats on close range weapons. We gotta increase the sprint to fire speed again with this KGB skeletal stock. It's also gonna increase our strafe speeds while ADS, which is super important. Then we got a serpent wrap just to increase the aim down sight speed a little bit more. A Spetsnaz grip because we're still gonna be trying to use this thing out to about 25 meters where we still get that top end time to kill, where it's really gonna outclass most weapons. Then we got the 45 round mag on because it doesn't hurt our ADS but increases our damage per mag. Number 5 is going to be the FFAR. This is on the list because of its time to kill and fire rate being nearly identical to the Cold War PPSH. I did a video on this a couple months ago, but to reiterate that, the FFAR has a 900 fire rate and 594 millisecond TTK, which is unheard of for ARs up close, while the Cold War PPSH has a 904 fire rate and a 595 millisecond time to kill. Granted, the FFAR has worse movement, and it does come with the added benefit of 25 meters of range on its time to kill. That's the offset, and the FFAR also doesn't have the best aim down sight speed, and that's why it's only number 5 on this list, but has very good ADS movement, much better than the AK-47 we just mentioned, giving you the ability to still have competitive movement while firing and aiming, which is so important up close. Now if we switch over to the class setup, it's going to look pretty much identical to what we did for the AK-47. They're going to have identical sprint to fire speeds. The AK will have a better ADS, while this will have better ADS movement, and will have a slightly better time to kill on the FFAR, and they have the same exact range. Either way, these things are going to fry out to 25 meters and should be doing you wonders up close. Next up, we got the XM4, which will have the worst base time to kill at 665 milliseconds out of the weapons on this list, but we have an excellent movement for an assault rifle. It's better across the board with the fastest aim down sight speed, movement, and ADS movement. You still might be worried about that time to kill, but with one neck shot, it lowers all the way down to 581 milliseconds, giving it a better TTK than the previous assault rifles on this list. This is so easy to accomplish at close range that you shouldn't have a problem achieving this 90% of the time. The XM4 combines movement, range, and time to kill better than the first two, which is why this is up here at number 4. And jumping into the class setup, we're going to have this set up the same exact way as the first two, but right now I would like to give you a couple variant options that you could go with. Now to start with, you could use the serpent wrap like I've been suggesting, or you could go for this airborne elastic wrap. I personally find the serpent wrap to be better, but they're both fantastic options. Then if you really dislike the iron sights on any of these, I would suggest probably either getting rid of the serpent wrap or the field agent grip if you don't need it for recoil control and throwing on a microflex LED. But this is clearly my preferred option on how to use these things as SMGs. Please make sure to like this video and subscribe if you enjoy content like this. Number 3 is the Cooper Carbine, with our first Vanguard weapon of the list. This weapon is great up close because of its attachments being overpowered. We can raise the fire rate to over 1000 RPM while only having one damage nerfing attachment. However, with my setup, we're only going to be putting this up to 979 rounds per minute, still making it the fastest firing weapon on this list. My setup gives it even better mobility than the XM4 by the slimmest of margins, as well as having the biggest magazine. This one can be used as a sniper support as well because of how insanely accurate it is, even with all the attachments geared towards movement, fire rate, and time to kill. And going straight into those attachments, you might be thinking I want to use the recoil booster on the first one, but since we're using compressed rounds in the ammunition to increase our fire rate there, and we can't be using subsonic ES off the minimap, there's no reason to be using the recoil booster. We're already getting the fire rate buff there, and all the sweaty players use their headsets as well as look at their minimaps, meaning they'll be targeting you throughout the game if you have recoil booster without subsonic. Now the rest of the attachments for fire rate is going to be the Cooper custom barrel, as well as this 60 round mag. So both of those is what's going to make us get a faster time to kill as well as a faster fire rate. Now for the movement category, we're going to go with fleet to give better weapon swap quickness if we don't have amped, as well as plus movement speed. Then the remove stock is our sprint to fire, ADS, and movement. So this thing's going to be moving around the map. We still got the slate reflector on because we have extra attachments, and this thing is still so accurate, so we might as well be able to use this thing out to 30-35 meters if we must. You're never going to be caught in a bad situation with this weapon, and we got the fabric grip and the hand stop to also increase our movement. The runner-up is the Volk, and you have an insane aim down sight speed with this weapon being better than most SMGs at 176 milliseconds in my class setup. But not only is the ADS insane, we have the most broken attachment in the entire game, Gung Ho, where it cancels out sprint to fire time. Most submachine guns are going to have 117 millisecond sprint to fire delay, while the Volk will have 0 delay. So even though its time to kill is only 641 milliseconds, being just slightly slower than most subs, we have no delay shooting off a sprint. So in essence, we're going to have a better time to kill. With Gung Ho, it only cancels out sprint to fire time if you start with a hip fire. So my build is going to have excellent hip fire, and then if you want to switch up to ADS right after, you're going to have a faster aim down sight speed than most SMGs. This weapon is fantastic, and I'm going to show you the build right now. We're going to actually use recoil booster to increase that fire rate and increase the time to kill, because we can put on some sonic because there's no compressed rounds. So therefore we won't show up on the minimap even though we don't have a silencer. Most of these attachments are going to be geared towards movement, so the 40 round mag increases fire rate, but it also increases ADS and movement speed, and our recoil is going to be really nice. Then for the optic, if you don't like these iron sights, I think they're really clean. I have no problem aiming them. The Crossik ISO 3V because it actually increases the ADS speed. If you really want, you can switch up to slate reflector, but it will lower the ADS just slightly. We've got this barrel right here, hip fire accuracy and hip fire recoil recovery. Then we're going to throw on polymer grip for just sustained fire accuracy. Then we've got the Crossik short barrel, which is also movement speed and hip fire accuracy. About twice as good of hip fire as any other assault rifle on the list I've made so far. This thing has a great fire rate of about 850 rounds per minute. It has a TTK of 640 milliseconds, but no sprint to fire delay. Super accurate, super mobile. Try it out. The best close-range AR that outclasses almost every submachine gun is the AS-44. Remember Gung Ho on the Volk? We're also going to have that on the AS-44, but instead of a 641 millisecond time to kill, we're going to have an incredible 561 millisecond TTK. That is the same as the OTS and Cold War MP5, but we're going to have greater range and a greater fire rate at 1,069 rounds per minute. Then the AS-44 has the best movement speed by a good margin over the other assault rifles on this list. The best hip fire just edging out the Volk, and no sprint to fire delay. The only two problem areas are going to be its aim down sight speed and its ADS movement being much slower than the other assault rifles. But with greater movement, time to kill, and Gung Ho, it is still going to offer the most upside while being super forgiving because of its fire rate, and the time to kill being the same no matter if you hit chest or stomach shots. Now if we hop straight into this class, we're going to be using the recoil booster just for the plus time to kill and subsonic, which I think you should be using on every Vanguard weapon that you're using at close range outside of the Cooper Carbide because we do have compressed rounds. The subsonic keeps us off the map, and the recoil booster is just a straight plus to the time to kill. If we go over to the barrel, this is the thing that causes the ADS issue because it adds 200 milliseconds to it. These other four attachments are all awful for up close, so this is the only option. And because our fire rate is boosted so much to over 1,000 rounds, this halving our horizontal recoil is really important, as well as giving us about an extra 3.5 meters of range. You can choose to not use this, and then your ADS is going to be equivalent to the Cold War AK-47. So it's up to you whether you want to use a barrel or not. I'm going to leave it on because I like to use it this way. Then the remove stock is our movement speed and hip fire. The fabric grip is also for hip fire. We're pretty much trying to get this thing to just be elite with our hip fire because of Gung Ho canceling out the sprint to fire delay when you hip fire. And then we got the 50 round mag because this also helps our recoil plus gets our fire rate up and our movement speed. This thing you're going to be flying around the map with, but I wouldn't use it past 30 meters. And if you want to see the top 10 sniper supports instead of the close range ARs, I'll have it linked on screen right here. Peace.